and gentlemen, welcome to a brand new episode of Full Steam Ahead. I'm your host, Zode. Co-host Cantu is on the other side. Co-host
So what's
Steban.
up?
Stebby isn't here for tonight's episode, but
He'll be back though.
yeah, he'll be back for the next one. Um, get that pump in if you just like to do that on the weeknights. There's nothing wrong with that because we love to get a pump in ourselves morning or at the night. But title this episode, rough start out of the deadline, is episode 277. Houston Nationals got swept by the Boston Red Sox, and Boston's playing hot baseball right now. And they really didn't even acquire a lot of big names at the deadline besides Steven Matz. I know they had to acquire another player too. I just can't think of him on top of my head. But Dustin May. Dustin May was supposed to pitch Sunday, but then they had put Lucas Giolito, which was a very smart move on their end. But this series, just overall for Houston, just wasn't it. I believe it wasn't clean baseball, as I would say, for this series, talking about the offense, the defense, base running, even, and pitching wasn't as well. And I think a lot of Astro fans were optimistic about this series just for the fact that he had Hunter Brown and Framber Valdez pitching in this series, but it just did not go as planned for the Astros.
Yeah, this is a series they want to, lock it in the closet, throw it with a key, and forget about it. But when you have Hunter Brown and Framber Valdez pitching in the series, you expect a series win, right? But I think this is a fact where the offense kind of struggled to score runs a little bit. Could have been maybe adjusting to the new squad, make like Jesus Sanchez adjusting to a new team. Carlos Correa, I mean, should be familiar with the Astros, but I think it's just a lot of moving pieces there. But like they did with the Marlins, I think they'll get back on track, and I can see a little bit more wins for the Astros coming up.
Yeah, you got to make a good point. New faces in this team. Carlos Correa with a new position. What's up, Kevin? How you doing on this beautiful night? 10:26 p.m. Central Time too, not to mention. So shout out to everybody that's going to be joining on the chat and talking with us. But yeah, Correa, new position, new faces with Jesus Sanchez and Ramon Urias. Everything was just different. I mean, you even had a little small bench clear from Hector Neris thinking that the Red Sox were stealing signs, and third base coach was relaying it to the runner at second, which I honestly didn't see nothing with that. I think it was just kind of frustrating, just the series overall, how it was for Houston. And like you said, I mean, this first game against the Miami Marlins, it went really well for the Astros. And we can real quick talk about that one. Well, we're going to talk about two real quick with the objectives, recap that Red Sox series. Potentially welcome back Ryan Presley. That is an interesting one to keep your eye out to see if the two-time All-Star will be returning to a Nationals uniform. Isaac Paredes could be working his way back, which was a very shocker. We'll break down that here in a second. Preview the rest of them two games of the series against the Miami Marlins. A little bit of Astros injury updates because there will be some pitching reinforcements coming soon, and a little bit of the round the horn if we do have time. Angel, real quick, do you want to just give everybody where they can see us and where they can find us?
Yeah, absolutely. You can get us wherever you get your podcasts at either Spotify or Apple. You could also find us on X, TikTok, YouTube at fullsteamahead.com. You could, at Full Steam Ahead. You could also find us on Instagram at FSA Full Steam Ahead. So we are there. We are, giving you updates every time the Astros are at home. We got some player interviews, some video for y'all to interact with. So yeah, you know, continue to shout us out, and continue to support.
Yeah, don't forget the 2 week the first weekend series for the Astros. Of course, Boston playing that first week series, but we'll be talking about with the Hall of Fame. Billy Wagner's going to be inducted, getting
Yeah.
that, well, not inducted into the Hall of Fame, but getting the number retired. And the Raptors, I'm pretty sure some Astros Hall of Famers will be their family, even himself out there. So make sure you hit that subscribe button, then you won't miss them interviews coming pretty soon. But Astros 63 and 50, first in the AL West, third. They still have a 3-game lead in the West as we speak. Just a little standing update for the AL West. Astros lead 63 and 50. Mariners are behind them with a 60 and 53 record. The Rangers 58 and 55, 5 games back, which they just tied the ball game with a Jock Peterson solo shot off of Devin Williams, which apparently the Yankees have the best bullpen in the American League.
Well, that new bullpen, I don't know if you saw, gave up basically a 9-run lead to the Marlins, who actually
Exactly.
swept the Yankees for the first time in their history. So hot team.
Yeah, that is a very hot team. We told you do not sleep on that team. That they just lost today, but before today's game, they were a 500 team with a 55 and 55 record, if I'm not mistaken. So, but Angels 54 and 58, 8.5 games back, and of course the Sacramento Athletics 49 65 record with 14 half games back of being first. But the Astros 28 and 26 on the road. And usually that is the strength of this team, being on the road, Warriors kind of thing. But against the Red Sox, I mean, they just weren't that team. But real quick, let's talk about that Marlins game just to get it out the way. The bats were hot, 2 for 4 for Jeremy Pena. Jesus Sanchez, first game back at Lone Depot Park after being traded. Went 1 for 4. Jose Altuve 1 for 5. Carlos Correa 1 for 4. Yainer Diaz in the 7th spot, 2 for 4. Victor Caratini 1 for 3. Mauricio Dubon had a pitch hit RBI single. Cam Smith 2 for 4 as well with an RBI. So you saw these bats were hot in this game. The Astros started scoring early against a pitcher that kind of rejuvenated a little bit of himself is Sandy Alcantara, who was a NL Cy Young Award winner. And the Astros were just smoking the ball off of him, hit by hit, station to station. Was able to get 5 runs in that 4th inning. Alcantara did go 7 innings because the pitch count was still pretty good, but the Astros were able to get onto him and score 6 runs in his start. So very good to see for the Astros offense because we're going to talk about that series here in a second with the Sox. It just did not look pretty for them. But a huge shout out to Jason Alexander, who came up and pitched really good against, like Angel said, a hot team with the Marlins after sweeping the Yankees for the first time ever in their franchise history. I mean, they were hot. Of course, they're going to be running away with the momentum, but Jason Alexander stopped that and going 6 scoreless innings, only giving up 3 hits, 1 walk, and 6 strikeouts.
Yeah, one thing about Jason Alexander is he's prepared to pitch at any given notice. Like against the A's, he's pitched, two. I believe it's a quality started in like two games against the A's, and then now this one. It's just kind of that mentality the Astros been having, the next man up mentality. Like a good example with Colton Gordon, with also what's his I'm blanking on his name. Brandon Walter as well. Like it's just guys that are, whenever their number's called, they're ready to pitch. It's kind of like JP Francis like last year too, when his number was called as well, he was ready to pitch. So it's just these guys that, that are prepared to do this. And I was talking to Jacob Lopez when the A's went, and he said when he was with the Rays, they're prepared for everything. So like with the Rays, they get some starts. They go to the bullpen as well, just because they never know. Whenever their numbers caught to major leagues, they don't know if they're going to be a starter. They don't know if they're going to be a bullpen piece. So it's what Sugarland does, and Corpus Christi does. Like some of these guys get bullpen, reps. Sometimes get these starting pitcher reps because they never know what they're going to do. And Jason Alexander again prepared to be a starter for the Astros.
Yeah, and it's kind of that next man up mentality that really this whole season has been all about for the Astros because they've only had 2 healthy starters that's still going strong with Framber and Hunter. And some of these games, they're not going to be on their A game. And sure enough, it was that series against the Red Sox. One of them did good with Hunter, and the other one with Framber just didn't have his stuff. Framber pitches well in one start, and then Hunter doesn't pitch well in one start. So it's kind of like they're holding it as much as they can, but the rest of the guys, it's kind of uncharted territories for them because they don't have that experience of pitching a lot of innings of their career. Of course, with the minor leagues, it's different. But like Angel had mentioned, some of them can start from the bullpen and then make their way up into a starter. And you're seeing that with Colton Gordon. I think the innings pitch is starting to catch up to him. We'll have his start and his stats here in a second. But Brandon Walter being able to contribute, Jason Alexander, more than likely, in my opinion, AJ Blueball's going to start for the Astros tomorrow. It's to be announced, but I'm going with a good feeling right there that Blueball's probably going to take over in that place because if I'm not mistaken, that was Gusto's start before he got traded. So.
Yeah.
But yes, a well-needed win for this Astros club because, like we talked about these standings, I mean, the Mariners are right there. Do not sleep on the Rangers. They just walked it off against the Yankees just now. Josh Jung hit a walk-off 3-run homer in the 10th inning. So
the Mariners,
no, the Rangers.
the Rangers walked it off.
Yeah, Rangers walked it off against the Yankees, and the Yankees were winning 5-4 in the ninth. And Jock Peterson with a buck 26 comes up to the plate, and it's game time home run against Devin Williams, one of the best relievers from the National League going into the American League. Yeah, it's just a different Devin, I guess. Yeah, you can't even say nothing about with the facial hair stuff because they did
Yeah,
away
because
with
they
that.
that's great. Yeah, I don't know. Something about those pinstripes. It's different.
It's different. David Bednar, Devin Williams, Camilo Duvall. Who was it that blown? It was Bednar, Duvall. I
And
know I'm
they,
missing one more.
yeah, and they had another addition. I
Man, why
lost it.
was it Jake Bird? I think it was him.
I think so.
The
Yes. Yes.
Rockies.
That's good. Yeah.
So,
Mhm.
yeah, but Red Sox sweep the Astros like we were mentioning. Game one, real quick. Very winnable game for Houston. Very winnable. They were leading the whole game. And credit to Hunter Brown, did a really fantastic job. 7 innings strong, 4 hits, only giving up a run, a walk, and 6 strikeouts. 97 pitches were thrown. 65 of them were strikes, 8 swing and misses. It wasn't a lot of swing and misses, but hey, he had his infield behind him because this is another guy that likes to get the ground ball, uh, to the infield and the defense. You saw Carlos Correa made his debut at third base. Did look bad. The arm is still there for damn sure, but did a really good job. The only offense came from Christian Walker with a solo shot to the Green Monster. And really, in this whole series for Houston, the Astros scored first in every game. And that was one thing that they were struggling doing that. Going back to last week and really the whole month over there that they weren't scoring first. And it was like 18 or 19 consecutive games that the opponent would score first before Houston.
Yeah.
So
Kind of the table kind of turned a little bit for Houston, not being able, scoring first, but not being able to hold on to that lead. Again, it was just a forgettable series for the Astros against the Red Sox.
yeah, sure enough, Roman Anthony would walk it off with I think it was like a deep fly ball to center. Of course, I think Taylor Trammell was going to make the play, um, but yeah, walk off on that one. Game two comes along, and Houston was hot from the get go. Correa, like I had said, collect his first hit as an Astro that time. Walker with a 2-run shot to bring him and Correa in. Yiner Diaz with an RBI single, and you thought Houston was riding really well, but then again, on the other side, you still got a hot team with Boston leading it with Alex Bregman, Wilyer Abreu. They got some dogs over there, and Cohen Gordon. This was a start that we had talked about. That's going to be very difficult for him because this is a offensive lineup in Boston that can really hit you in different ways with Rafaela, Roman Anthony. I mean, the list goes on and on. And sure enough, I mean, Gordon got hit pretty damn hard. 4 innings, 7 hits, 6 earned runs, 1 walk, 6 strikeouts. Almost predicted the hits right, Angel. I had said 8, so he had 7. But 81 pitches were thrown, 50 of them were strikes. 3 home runs, if I'm not mistaken, was from Trevor Story, another former Astro, Abraham Toro. Can't think of the other one. You can drawing a blank on that one, Angel. I don't know if you saw that one, but yeah, Gordon left off with 3 home runs. And like I mentioned, I just think at this moment for him, it's just he hasn't pitched a lot of innings, especially in a big league as a big league starter. And sure enough, it's kind of getting to him. Maybe he's setting a little bit of fatigue on him as well.
Yeah, I'm looking to see how many pitches he's thrown. I mean, how many innings he's thrown the most in his career, real quick. Because you're right. I mean, it could be a number of things. It can be the league catching up to him. They have a lot more video on Colton Gordon as well. It could be that fatigue. So it'd just be interesting to see. Right now, he's thrown 66 innings. But let me look on his minor league career stats. You can go ahead if you want. I can uh, get these on right here. Oh, okay, so right here, he in 2024 he threw 123 innings, and the most he's thrown was in 2023, 128. So he could be kind of used to it already, because he's at 66.2 right now. So it could be, just a mixture of things at this point.
Yeah, it could be like you said. I mean, too, a lot of teams are getting footage of him because he's been in the league for so long now. But you could just see it, and of course, he's going to be a competitor and do whatever he can. Of course, too, Espada is just dealing with what he got right now. But I will say reinforcements are coming. Spencer Arrighetti's coming soon. I think Christian Javier has one more rehab start before he could become available. And I think Luis Garcia is really not too behind. Probably needs two more minor league starts, and then he will be available. So Daniel
Well,
Brown's really putting all his chips on the table with these guys to be able to be able to help this starting rotation out.
well, I forgot to count the Sugar for this year. So in total, he's thrown 108 innings. So he's closing into that 123, 128 point that his career high is.
Yeah. So I mean, going from minor and the majors too. Yeah, you couldn't through 6 or 7 innings with the Space Cowboys compared to being in Houston. You're throwing about, I'd say, average about 4 to 6 innings. I've
Yeah.
yet to see him in a 7 inning mix, but yeah, the league's catching on to him, and you know who caught on to Framber in Game 3? It was the Red Sox offense as well. 7-1, Astros will lose that one. Carlos Correa hits a solo home run, and like I said, the Astros scored first in every game against the Red Sox at Fenway, and it just did not go as well for them. Framber Valdez, 6 innings, 7 hits, 6 runs, 5 of them being earned, 1 walk, 3 strikeouts. 94 pitches were thrown, 66 were strikes. And the first 3 innings, it looked really promising for him. He looked like he had his stuff. A lot of the offensive guys from Boston were swinging and missing on his curveball mix. And then fourth inning came along, and it just did not really go well for Frember and the Astros. And it started with Roman Anthony with a leadoff double. Then you had a walk. Trevor Story comes up, hits a single. Rafaela hits a single. Story scores on a Frember balk. Wild pitch. Toro single. Wilyer Abreu sack bunt, which was counted as a sack bunt. Technically, it should have been an RBI single because Frember did not field the ball. If you had seen the game, Abreu had put a bunt down and the ball went under Framber's glove. So Rafaela would score on that. Next thing you know, pass ball comes along. You had Wong hit a sac fly, and then Ref Snyder had an RBI ground out, followed by an
Yeah.
Alex Bregman line out.
Brutal inning for Framber, and that's literally all she wrote after that. It's these are the innings that you want to avoid for Framber. Just getting the emotions, get the best of him sometimes, and this is what could happen. He was cruising through three, and then just you know a little thing, a little like emotion factor made all the difference for Framber Valdez. I think once he can again control that, it'll be smooth sailing from there on.
Yeah, and I think if you're on the other side of the Astros dugout, all you have to, especially on Framber starts, all you have to do is get him out of his groove. You get him out of his groove, you get him frustrated. It's difficult for Framber to keep his emotions. And like you were mentioning, if he could learn how to, and he's done a good job. He's done a good job doing controlling it from different starts. But once you get him, like you basically, he had a lot of soft contact too. I don't know if you saw that inning. There's a lot of soft contact generated from these Red Sox hitters, and it was just going in holes. They were just flowing down there. But once you saw that ball go under Valdez's glove, that's when you knew. And I'm pretty sure he knew. He's like, man, nothing is going my way. The offense isn't there. This inning just got out of hand. It was just one of them games for him. Like you really can't do nothing about it, but just go out there and continue pitching. And what he did wasn't 6 innings. If you give away that bad inning in the fourth, there could be a
Quality start.
potentially quality start, and it could be 1 or 2 runs maybe.
Yeah, but I mean, for the Red Sox, you're looking at this series as a win. They surpassed the Yankees now in the AL East. They're second, 2.5 games back from first place Toronto. So I mean, I think the the Boston Red Sox are sending their thank you cards to the Astros because they made a big step, that division too.
Yeah, and then going into this series too, you felt like Houston, like I mentioned, you saw Framber Valdez and Hunter Brown on this. You felt like if this wasn't a series win, then there could be at least one game you could get. Because Colin Gordon's a toss up. Either he pitches well and the offense doesn't do good, or he doesn't pitch well and the offense still doesn't do good.
Yeah.
So you felt like, okay, there at least is going to be one win in this series. But Houston last year went to Boston, swept them at Fenway, and tables turned on this series at Boston this year with the Red Sox being able to sweep the Astros. And I think Boston too is like, man, if we could just win 1 or 2 games, you got to take that as a win. But being able to sweep the first place Astros, man, that felt like everything to them in that series.
Yeah, and, but I think there'll be better days for the Astros offense for sure. It's just one of those where it wasn't clicking on all cylinders.
Yeah, speaking of offense, let's finish off with overall thoughts. Runners in scoring position. That's a huge start right there. It was atrocious. It was just bad. Not to mention that Miami Marlins, they did a really good job in that first game, the series opener, 6 for 12. Well, before that, Friday 0 for 6, 7 men on base. Saturday 2 for 11, 11 left on base. Sunday 0 for 1 with 3 left on base. That
I got
Sunday game, you tip your cap to Lucas Giolito, though.
yeah, but I went too many ball games like that. Honestly, you know you got to have those situational at bat situational hits and not spraying hits every inning or so here and there. It's not gonna get you a lot of runs in either. It has like that rally, that continuous uh, of at bats that runs. I don't know if you heard. I think it was Ray Larkin on the radio. He said that singles continue rallies and home runs and rallies.
I mean, that makes sense. Think
Yeah,
about it.
I think he said it the wrong way, right? But what he mean, like what he meant was just basically move the train around, just do what you got to do, just to to continue wreaking havoc for the pitcher, putting pressures on, having runners in scoring position, because then the pitcher has to pitch a lot more, cautiously with that.
Not just pitch cautiously, but two, the pitch count rises.
Yeah.
And that's what was happening to Framber in that fourth inning. But yeah, I mean, there was a crucial part of the game in Saturday's ball game. Bases loaded. Carlos Correa, I think Astros fans were excited to see that one, see him come up in that one. And I mean, the bat before Correa came up, Jordan Hicks gave up a 4-pitch walk. I think it was to Jesus Sanchez, if I'm not mistaken. Then Correa comes up. First pitch was a strike down the middle. Second pitch throws a slider away. And of course, in that situation, you're like, this guy hasn't even thrown a strike. And first pitch goes right by him. I think you're automatically taking if you haven't thrown a strike, it's 4 balls or 5 balls, but that's just high school and college guys talking to you right now. We're not professional guys like these guys at the upper level. But then you had an 0-2 count, and Correa just saw a fastball just right down the middle. And I think that was very heartbreaking for them because the Astros were literally a base hit. It was a 7-3. That's how the Astros ended the game. But a base hit, you pass the baton to the next one. Who was up? I think it would have been Christian Walker, who's been hitting the ball really well. Especially in this series, he had 2 home runs. But crucial parts in the game that I think the Astros could have done a better job. It's just one of them series that it just didn't go their way.
But move on to since the next one they start off really good against Miami and hope to well and I'm sure they hope to move that momentum continuing with that.
Yeah. Just real quick with that, poor base running too. There was, like I said, there was a clean series for the Astros. Jesus Sanchez trying to go to third. That was literally the first game. Trying to go to third after a wild throw I think Chris Will had thrown it to first, got past Toro. Looks at Perez Chica. I don't think Perez Chica had sent him. I think he just like went off on his own, got thrown out at third. Jose Altuve got picked up by Carlos Navarez from the catcher. And then there was another aggressive send by Perez Chica. I think Christian Walker was running in that one. And Duran got him out at home. I think on that one, it's kind of a bang bang. In that situation, I think I would have done what Perez Chica said. Just see if you can get Duran to make a perfect throw, put the pressure on them because Houston needed some runs. And you just got to tip your hat, like I said, to Duran. Made a good throw on that one. Can't really do nothing about that. And to end it real quick, no good Bueno defense. A lot of mistakes for this defense. Another thing for Sanchez, overthrowing the cut. He could have honestly went to second, but he decided to throw it at home, missed the cut at Walker at first. Trevor Story moves another 90 feet at second base. Had a throwing error in one of these games as well. Cam Smith with an off-balance throw to second instead of trying to hit a good throw to the cut. Yonder passed the ball. Framber wild pitch. Framber missing the ground ball. I mean,
Not a pretty series.
Yeah, it was just not a clean series. Not clean baseball from hitting to defense to base running. It just wasn't a clean series for the Astros. And this is what Joe Espada and the Astros just want to kind of just move along with this. I think a lot of Astros fans were happy about having these acquisitions, especially we talked about the runners in scoring position. You went to go get Carlos Correa. You went to go get Jesus Sanchez. And that was the turnout. 2 for 18 with 21 men left on base. I
Yeah.
think a lot of Astro fans were hoping a different outcome.
Hey, but we did call it Jesus Sanchez has been batting second
Mhm.
in this lineup against Miami. But yeah, like I said, this is a series like we've been saying, the Astros would like to forget. Overall, not a great, an all around pitching, hitting, defense, like you said, like Lorenzo covered it all. Not a really good series overall. Just when you want to, just wash out.
Yeah, the Astros already did that with the series opening win against the Marlins, and we'll give you that preview here in just a second. But interesting takes from Bob Nightingale from the USA Today. First off, let's start off with Ryan Presley. Is there a reunion coming soon for him in an Astros uniform? We put it out there on our Twitter page. A lot of feedback from a lot of Astro fans. I love to see the engagement on that. A lot of yeses, a lot of nos. Mama Presley was even in the mix, said yes, yes, yes. She would like to see her son back in an Astros uniform. And this was from the quote from Nightingale's article. He said the Astros are weighing the possibility of bringing back reliever Ryan Presley after he was released by the Chicago Cubs. Reminder to everybody last week, Ryan Presley, or actually not even last week, I think it was just this past week after the deadline, Presley was designated for assignment by the Cubs, which it was not honestly a good season, season for him. If I could pull up the numbers real quick.
I'm
Uh,
I'm literally doing the same too.
yeah, 2-3 record, 435 ERA, 28 strikeouts, a 152 whip. It was just not one of them good times. I don't know if he just misses Texas. I don't know if he just misses Houston. He had the closing role in the beginning of the season. That was his role right there, was to be the closer for the
Only four
Chicago Cubs.
saves, so
How many? Four
on-
saves?
4 saves. Valencia, who was there was a closer by committee, has 14 saves.
Yeah, his last three games before being released by the Cubs gave up a run in each of those relief appearances. And this is probably his worst start since 2017 in Minnesota. And that one was almost the same thing 2-3 record, 470 ERA, a 134 whip. Right now, batters have an opponent batting average against him as a 288. With Houston, I could just go down the seasons real quick 188, 253, 208, 181, 220, 264 in 2024 was the last opponent batting average. But let's
Yeah.
start with you, Kentu. What
Well,
do you think?
well, we're just going back a little bit on his his stats. He- Ryan Presley hasn't recorded a save since June 12th against Pittsburgh, and has two blown saves in the mix, there. But it just depends on Ryan Presley. It's like obviously he's not gonna have the closer role here in Houston just because you have Josh Hader, and company who can, get that. It's just basically what does Ryan Presley do with his career? Does he want to be a closer? If he is, then there's no chance he's coming to Houston because that's not an option for him. Is he okay with a 7-6? Maybe, I would say 7-6 because Ryan Bray has done a really great job in that eighth spot, eighth inning when when his numbers caught. So I would say, is he comfortable with that 6-7 inning? I don't know. Minnesota has been, checking up on Ryan Presley too, who
Mhm.
just, you know, traded Joan Duran, which, if he really wants to be a closer, then that would be a better option for him just because he has the ability to, battle for that spot over there. But for the Astros, you just gotta evaluate what they got, right? If he's gonna make the team better with a 6 or 7 role, then by all means do it. But if it's just gonna be create a problem, or in the clubhouse, or you think you have a good bullpen now, and Ryan Price doesn't really add much, then I don't see why the reunion tour would be ideal for the Astros.
Yeah, a lot of you go baseball savant and you see a lot of his um percentiles. I mean, I could go down the list real quick. Pitching run value 23, fastball run value 38, breaking run value 25, 35, expected ERA 15, expected batting average 8, fastball velo 33, chase rate 6, whiff 4, strikeout percentage 5. The only thing that's been good for him has been his ground ball percentage. That's the only thing I can find very positive for Ryan Presley. But I mean, everything else has been literally bottom 2% MLB. bottom 5% of MLB with a strikeout rate. I mean, it's just been different for Presley. Usually last year was, not even last year I would say, but his tenure with Houston, the slider usage was
Yeah.
huge. And you go back into his page of the usage that he's thrown, and the slider from 2023 has gone down from 40. Last year went to 28.9, and this year in the Chicago Cubs uniform it went to a 21.2. He's trusted a lot in his sinker this past season, going 2.1 from 24 to an 11.8 this year. And I'm trying to look back on
Yeah.
exit velocities.
You basically took what I was saying about speed. Like he's been, testing the fastball out a little bit more, and it hasn't been working for him. The fastball last year was hit had an opponent batting average of 313, 286 this year. But I mean, the slider has always been Ryan Press's bread and butter. But the fact that he's throwing it less is kind of, you know, not ideal for him. And then we do have a comment, sub guys, Steban left. Steban's just taking a little day off, uh, getting some gains. Couldn't join us today, but he'll be back next time.
Yes, he'll be back for the next episode. But back to this Ryan Presley conversation real quick. The miles per hour, the velocity on his pitches has just little tick down from last year in 24. 93.8 was his four seamer, 93.4 this season. Curveball went from 82.4 last year, dropped one with an 81.4. Slider was 89.6, averaging, and this season was about 88.8. So it could be some fatigue. Of course, he's already getting up in age as well. Of course, too, just a different venue, different scenery with another team too could be a factor. It's going to be interesting what the Astros do, and I will agree with you on the Presley because as of right now, Houston, in my opinion, I think Houston should have went to get one more reliever at the deadline. It could have been for me more than likely it should have been a right-handed reliever because lefties they're pretty stacked on already with Brian King, who had 2 home runs hit off of him today. Bennett Souza, Stephen O'Curr, Josh Hader. You have four lefties in the bullpen right now. What you're missing is a right-handed reliever and I would say even a middle relief guy. And
You
Hector
know,
Neris can be the only one doing this all the time. Brian Abreu is your setup guy for Josh Hader.
yeah, like, it's crazy because in the past few years, I think we've been streaming. Oh, the Astros need a left-handed reliever, but now it's the opposite, a right-handed reliever. But yeah, I agree with you. I think they needed one more addition, but I don't think Ryan Pressey's the answer in that regard. It's just not it. Uh, we do have another comment coming in. Why do you wait until my bedtime to start streaming? Astro World Crazy, my bedtime too.
We're trying
Trust
to give
me.
you all these news before we go to bed. That's what we're trying to do
Yeah,
best. We should have done it yesterday, but all of us were all busy. So we're doing our part to try to get you all caught up for this series and getting you ready for that next series against the Yankees, especially because their bullpen hasn't been really helping them out, just like a lot of things. Like,
yeah,
yeah, pretty much.
absolutely. But yeah, I mean, just going back to Ryan Pressey, I don't think that's the answer the Astros are looking for.
How about Charlie
Charlie,
Morton here?
I mean, that would have been a great addition. He's balling out with, in his first start with Detroit. So, a little, it's crazy that Charlie Morton's still pitching great, giving, the injuries, the age that he's going through. Justin Verlander hit 98 miles per hour today too, with the Giants. So, hats off to them, honestly.
Yeah, and for Houston with this, and it's probably not gonna go well for Astro fans, but like I don't mind the reunion for Presley to come back in the Nationals uniform because, like I mentioned, I mean their bullpen. Who do you has as right-handed relievers? Can't put Hector Neris all the time. There could be some splits that some lefties like O'Curd or Souza or King have, good splits against right-handed hitters, but
The thing is,
that doesn't mean like them right-handed hitters aren't going to have a good swing off of them.
and honestly, they might have like Luis Garcia in the bullpen.
And that's what's going to be another point that I was going to bring up too.
Yeah. So the Colton Gordon could be another key piece there. So they're gonna have some reinforcements, just like the starting rotation will have, but it's just like again a matter of when they're ready. But I think but like Dana Brown has stressed enough, we can never have too much pitching. Another reliever would have been nice
Yeah, and
because I'm sorry, because right-handers they have you know that's it. Hector Neris, Nick Hernandez has been up and now really, but doesn't really see much action. Jason Alexander could be a candidate for a reliever later in the season too. He's pitched pretty good, and they just signed John Rooney not too long ago, but he's also a left-handed pitcher too. So
yeah, you see, so we have so like the Astros have so many left-handed relievers. Is like who can you throw out as a right-handed reliever? I mean, Hector Neris, like I said, Hector Neris can be the only guy out there going against them. I mean, looking at splits right now, Brian King has a 203 opponent batting average against. Oh, well, you have Caleb Orr too. I forgot about him against
yeah,
right-handed hitters. Stephen O'Curve, I'm just glancing real quick. 176 against right-handed hitters, which is, I mean, this is very shocking to me because usually these guys would be going against lefties. And who is the last one? Souza. Finish Souza real quick. Go to the splits. Let's see what does he have in the tank versus right-handed hitters. 244, 241. So best believe it'd be O'Kurt or Brian King in them situations. But like with Ryan Presley, I mean, yeah, it'd be difficult. Like it'd be difficult to bring him back. It will be, but I think this bullpen needs some type of relief help. It just can't be Hector Neris all the time. Brian Abreu, another guy. He's usually the setup guy. He's not gonna be pitching in a 6-1 ball game if the Astros are losing. Let's get that
I
straight.
mean at this point, who would you rather have, Ryan Presley or Nick Hernandez?
That's what I was going to bring up right now too. Brian Presley or
Ryan
Nick
Presley.
Hernandez. Yeah, exactly.
But you see, but the thing is, I think they were okay not grabbing a reliever because they know they have some candidates who could get in there, like how we just suggested Alexander, Luis Garcia, but they're not going to be in the starting rotation soon because you have Spencer Getty coming back,
Hmm.
probably this series. You got Christian Javier, Lance McCullers, who I don't honestly, can, I don't see him going to the bullpen anytime soon either. So, you know,
So I was going to bring this point up right now too. Thinking about it, you got Luis Garcia starting games. You got Christian Javier starting games. Spencer Getty, I think if he pitches well, and more than likely he's going to be the number 3 guy. These guys are coming back from their rehabs as starters. And I'm not saying Houston's going to be using, I mean, for sure, whenever these guys come back up, Colton Gordon's going to go down. Who more than likely AJ Blue Ball is going to go down as well. And then you'll have your 3 guys in your rotation. You have Hunter Brown, Framber Valdez, Christian Javier, Spencer Rigetti, and Luis Garcia. And like he had mentioned, Lance McCullers Jr. is on the rise too. He will have that update here in moments of the show. But that's my thing. Even though they have done it in the past, coming out of the pen, they're preparing as starters.
yeah, I mean, I think that's just,
There's different mindsets and different transitions from a starter, starting the game and being the starter coming out of the bullpen. 2 different outcomes,
yeah, but
different preparations as well.
yeah, I mean, absolutely, I agree with you. I think again, but I still think one of those will go to the bullpen. Uh, Even if they're getting trained as a starter, it's just probably just to get the innings in or something like that. But mm, other than that, I mean, they're going to be starters, Lance McCullers too. I don't see Lance McCullers being in the bullpen unless it's a playoff game. Other than that, rotation. Same thing with JP France. Same thing with uh
Mhm.
Luis Garcia. So
Yeah, but that's another guy too we did get to mention was JP France, who is rehabbing his way as well. But overall, what do you think? Yes or no? You didn't give me a clear no. Okay,
yeah,
I, I'd probably I'd probably leaning a little bit more to yes, just for the experience of the postseason, especially down that stretch. Yes, the ERA sounds insane, and the record and the opponent batting average, the usage of his pitches. However, he already knows about this ball club. He knows the players. He knows the coaches. Maybe a little small reunion, just like everybody else coming back to Houston. Next thing you know, you might even see Martin Maldonado come back in an Astros uniform. You just never know. But when's the next bar stream? We haven't done a bar stream. I mean, in a while. I know the
Whatever, right now.
Bayou City Wings was not a bar, but it was behind.
Yes, you can
The
count
bar
it.
was behind us. The bar
Yeah.
was behind us. But yeah, we'll have to figure that out. Maybe we'll do one more before the season ends. Could have used Forrest Willie right about now, but they released him. Yeah, could have. I mean, Forrest Willie 2 is another tricky one because he was always getting, I'm not saying he always wanted to be injured, but there's some type of injury always coming up uh, in each of his relief appearances or just some type of rehab setback. Ashworth Craig, Dusty Baker must be pulling his hair out looking at all the shot calls in the Astros bullpen. That is funny right there. I'm not gonna
I
lie.
mean, Dusty Baker, the coach of Nicaragua.
Yes, and then the manager of the
Hey,
2026 Nicaragua team in the WBC. That should be cool,
yeah,
honestly. That's
yeah.
very uh interesting. But moving on to the Bob Nightingale article, because there was a lot of Astros topics in there, and these are two quotes about the same thing, and it's one particular player. Quote, the Astros kept hammering away at the Twins and at one point even talked about Astros first baseman Christian Walker being a part of the package. And this was in another separate quote of that article. The Twins had the opportunity to acquire Houston Astros first baseman Christian Walker in their Carlos Correa trade talks, but pass. Not wanting to take on the 2 years and $40 million left on his contract, it's possible Walker is shopped this winter to make room for Isaac Paredes. Very interesting because in the last
Yeah.
episode we were talking about how this team is gonna change their infield because you got Gold Glovers all around the infield. Now you have two third basemen at third in the hot corner. It's going to be very different next season for this team. And we were trying to figure out, I mean, well, what's up? Do you think they shop one of these particular players? And I had mentioned maybe they could look at Pena being shopped since he is a Scott Boras client now. And the Astros weren't able to get that extension done with him. Maybe they do in the offseason, but at that point of time, it just did not happen. Interesting one here, Angel, because Christian Walker, and then this is my opinion. I think Dana Brown had mentioned this too. They don't see him, they still see him that he can get going. This Red Sox series, he did really, he did hit it really well. And it looks like he's getting back on track. Finally got that OPS over 700. And we had talked about in the offseason, this is a guy that you're bringing in that you bought him to this club was because of his defense, of his Gold Glove. And that's one thing the Astros have been searching for since Yuli Gurriel had departure in 22. So
We just didn't bring. Yeah, I mean, you're right. They brought him in for the glove, but they also brought him for what he can do offensively for
yeah,
the, for any ball club as well. Like, and obviously not the season Christian Walker has wanted, nor the Astros, but he's still a really good player. Like, let's not forget that he's still a really good player, and the fact that he was shopped around for the Twins is kind of crazy, just because at that point they figured Isaac Perez was not going to be there, the rest of the season. And if they were to trade Christian Walker in this trade line, who's at first base this year? Probably
yeah,
a mixture between Caratini, maybe some Dubon who's played there. Yanni Diaz maybe gets 1 or 2 games there. So it's very interesting. But yeah, like we hammered at that last podcast too. It's like, what do you do with this team next year? You have when you talk about this is healthy coming back and trading. Like we said, I think it was either between Paredes or Question Rock or one of those is getting, might be getting traded or I'm not saying released, but traded for something. But the fact that it's happening this early, I think it's crazy. Just because Christian Walker, like I said, Christian Walker is a good player. He's fighting it a little bit at the plate. Gold Glover to really good defense. So I think if they were to trade him right now at this point of the season, it's a big loss for the Astros. Even if he's not playing well, just because of the threat. Pitchers still pitch carefully to Christian Walker. They're not gonna give him too many, like too much to hit. Walker Buehler gave him something to hit, and he took it over the big monster. So still a threat every time he comes.
yeah. Not to mention too, Houston was looking for a first baseman or somebody that could play the hot corner last season. They were able to accomplish both, trading for Paredes and getting Christian Walker. And if you look at the free agents from last year, there wasn't really any top guns in the free agent market, at least at first base. The only one was Christian Walker. You wanted to say Paul Goldschmidt because, of course, Houston might not want to pay what some of these free agents are asking for, but Walker was able to do it, and I think Paul Goldschmidt could have just been a backup plan because too he is a Houstonian. He did went to the Woodlands High School. He would have been a cheaper option. And if you look at his stats right now, he has 8 home runs and 40 something RBIs. To remind y'all, plays at Yankee Stadium. The corners are not that deep. So you would think that would be a little bit of an advantage for him. He's a Gold Glover as well, but he's a little bit upper in age compared to Walker. And if you look at Walker's stats, I mean, the WAR, this has been one of the worst since I would say 2021, 0.6, but so far this season he has a negative 0.4. It's not pretty. But 15 home runs, 58 RBIs. Last season he had 26 home
59.
runs, 84 RBIs. Say it again.
59.
59. Oh, 59 today. I'm looking at baseball reference right now. But like I said, last year, 26 home runs, 84 RBIs. And I mean, we can go on with like everything has decreased. His OPS he had the last 3 seasons, he had an OPS over 800. Hasn't had one under 800 since 2021. That was a 696. That's where Christian Walker is at a 700 right now, but of course he could flirt with that 690 range. So yeah, there's no panic with him. If I'm Houston, I'm gonna find a way to construct this infield next season. There's gonna
Yeah,
be a way somehow that the Astros can figure this out. Because throwing away Walker, I think it would be a huge mistake for Houston. You finally
I
got a
think so.
defensive end. Finally got a defensive first baseman, and you still got guys that can hit. If he's batted not hot, which I know Astros fans want it to be hot, but you still got Paredes, you still got Alvarez, you still got Altuve, you still got Pena, Diaz. I mean, the list goes on. You do not need this guy for offense. If of course, you do want him for offense, but
Yeah.
at the end of the day, if it doesn't happen, you got him at first base, 3-time Gold Glover. They haven't had a Gold Glove first baseman since Yuli Gurriel. You saw how that ended with in 23 and 24 with Jose Abreu. And of course, the platoon of first basemen of John Singleton, Victor Caratini, and Yainer Diaz. Even Mauricio Dubon got some action. But if you're Houston, this is my opinion. I think you just got to hold off on it. You can maybe explore the trade options just to see what's out there, but it has to be a good package if they're going to let go of Walker. Because I honestly think the way you go into next year's infield, especially with the update we're going to give you with Paredes, you go Walker at first. Paredes is probably going to have to play second base. Pena is going to play shortstop, and Carlos Correa is going to play third base.
Yeah, and honestly, Jesus Sanchez is horrific against lefties. So that means he's not going to be playing every day. So that kind of opens up, some space to put Altuve at outfield and, from time to time. And, you know, just they have to figure something out, like you said. Like this team is Walker's too good. This team is too good to be missing a piece like that unless someone gives them a package that's really you can't resist. Like it has to be the A+ package because again, what he'll have 2 years of control still
Yeah.
for next year. 20 gets paid 40 million, I think, the rest of the year. So I mean, it's you want to keep Christian Walker, especially if you're serious about winning a World Series because he's going to give you that best chance, honestly.
Yeah, not to mention too, the strikeout rate is high. Of course, there's a lot of swing and misses. Kevin Cerno, of course, keep Walker, so he's on with us thinking of what the Astros should do. But of course, you say let's go get rid of Walker. Okay, who's going to be your backup? You're
Yeah.
saying Paredes is going to play first base. He's going to play a new position now. So I think it's just too risky for Houston to let go of a Gold Glove first baseman, put a guy that's never played that position, or maybe go after a guy that has, and have to deal with him at first and be like, I'm not saying he's not saying Isar Paredes plays like Jose Abreu, but maybe the glove isn't as strong. For sure, it's probably not going to be strong as Christian Walker's.
Yeah. But speaking of Paredes, it's been very, very different, things that relate like, based on his hamstring injury at first. They said about 2 3 months. Then it was worse than expected, and I figured out it was bad because he looked in pain, fell right away like he had a flat tire. It didn't look pretty. Then out for the season, right? That was the prediction. And now Isaac Paredes is doing everything he can to get back on the field. This is per Channel Realm. Isaac Paredes received a PRP injection on his right hamstring and is going to rehab in an attempt to return this season. Astros GM Dana Brown said. Surgery was on the table for Paredes, Brown said, but Paredes chose to rehab the injury instead. And I found this interesting. Just because if, say, for example, the Astros did not sign Carlos Correa and Ramon Diaz was playing third base or Mauricio Dubon playing third base, then I would agree, okay, maybe this was the best option. But I honestly think having season-ending surgery would be the best option for Paredes, just because there's right now. Yes, you want to win. Yes, you're probably the best slugger the Astros have had this season, but they got the reinforcements that they needed. And at this point, you're looking at more of the player than the team, right? I'm sure Perez wants to be there, but at some point, you risk it happening again and being gone for a longer absence instead of, you just taking your time, letting it, surgery, let it heal through, and then come back 100% the season. Now, Dana Brown said he'll have a good he'll rather want a 75% Jordan Alvarez. No, I don't think he wants a 70% stuff, but it's not because of talent wise, but because what do you play him? Like when Jordan Alvarez comes back, I'm sure he's gonna be hogging that DH bro, and sure right, because that's like literally what you're gonna do. If he comes back, you're done. You're dealing with this situation that's a last year's problem to this year problem, and for me, Isaac Paredes will be better off taking getting surgery, be 100% for next year. But I mean, just shows what type of player Isaac Paredes is. Wants to help the team on as possible. Maybe a little too much at this point.
I love the enthusiasm. I love the grind of this guy. He wants to do whatever it takes to
Yep.
help this team. Before this injury, I mean, he was leading the Astros in home runs, RBIs, walks. I mean, he was doing it all. This guy was doing it all. It was a one-man wrecking crew when it came to, run production and all of that. Offensive clutch, working the count, especially. That was the guy that you wanted at the plate. And of course, that injury happens. But you had talked about, being DH, 75% Paredes. Alvarez's injury is different from Paredes' injury. The hand is different from the hamstring. A
A torn
75%,
hamstring.
exactly. A 75% hamstring is not gonna be the cut.
Yeah.
Not even 80% or 85%, I would even say, still is not gonna be the cut, because if it more than likely it was probably a grade 2 or grade 3 hamstring torn. It was a torn hamstring. So of course you're looking at months of missing, and why risk it? Why
Yep.
risk trying to play? I don't know, and this is just me speculating. This is me just speaking. Maybe he saw the trade of this Correa deal go down and be like, "Man, there's no way this guy's just going to take my position, being traded, and then
You
all of a
can't lose
sudden
your
I have to
spot
be on the
to
sidelines."
injury.
Exactly, and I'm going to be on the sidelines, still hurt, and the Astros might have something planned already for next season for the roster, how the infield's going to be constructed. But Paredes, I mean, if he does come back, let's say he does, for damn sure he's not going to play the field. It's going to be too difficult because you're going to have to move. Your hamstring is a sensitive muscle in the body to move, because that muscle does a lot of work compared to your hand, like an Alvarez injury.
Yeah. One slide, one stretch at first base, trying to beat the ball, and you're in the same situation again.
By all means, if this was a World Series type of position of him trying to figure out, like, hey, I'm going to play or I'm going to work to play, completely understand, because this is a once in a lifetime opportunity. You never know if you're going to be able to come back again. You don't know if you're ever going to be able to win the World Series. This is almost, and I compare it just like the other one to Tyrese Halliburton with the Myers injury with the calf tightness. Halliburton dealing with that calf tightness in the NBA Finals, and he's like, man, I'm gonna give it a go in Game 7. Sure enough, torn his Achilles. He ain't gonna play next season for the NBA. for the Pacers. The Pacers ain't gonna make, in my opinion, they ain't gonna make a deep run after that. So now he's gonna wait a whole year. He's not gonna be able to play. He's gonna have to wait
Mhm.
till 2027. And that's what Paredes is doing right now. And this is me just speaking on that. I think you're just jeopardizing your next season because you do want to play. And like I said, there's nothing wrong with that because I would do anything too to try to get back. But that injury, especially being the muscle and the hamstring, it's just too risky to do, man. It's very
Yeah,
too risky.
he's also risking some money too, honestly, because if he re-injures it and can't play a whole season next year, he's not going to win his arbitration case,
Yeah.
for next year either. So compared to if he has a great, rehab has a great season next year, you can definitely fight for that extra money, that he wants to, argue for. But I don't know. You shout out the guy for wanting to help this team out, like you said, but at this point, I think surgery would have been the best option, especially at this time of the season, because 6, 7 months after surgery, I mean, he was not going to play in the playoffs anyways. Like,
Yeah.
and then if it was like a pulled hamstring, a strain, okay, yeah, but a torn hamstring, that's yeah,
Significant.
yeah, that's
Significant that they say. But I
that
will
was.
say this, if he does make his way back and you flirt with the idea of, all right, if he comes back, you put Jose Altuve at second base, you put Jordan Alvarez in left field, and then you put Paredes at the DH. That is a sexy lineup. I will not lie to you about that. That is a
Yeah,
sexy lineup.
and then Jake Myers is still rehabbing too,
You got
so
Hams, you got Cam Smith, you got Jesus Sanchez.
he
We
can
got
play
we got a
center field.
candidate for first base. Apparently, Ashworth Craig says Cam Smith can play first base and Sanchez is right fielder. I
I
don't know
don't see
about
that
that one.
happening.
He
Yeah, I
went
don't see
from
that happening.
already the infield to the outfield. Gonna go back to the infield apparently.
Yeah, I don't see that happening. But you know, it's crazy. I mean, if you're the Astros, is a good problem to have, having all this talent on the team.
It,
But
it
you know,
just depends on how he feels
yeah,
going into really not even September, October. I would say the September part would be half half of that month, or maybe the first or 2 weeks of that month,
yeah,
because reminder that the minor league season does end a little bit earlier than the major league season.
yeah.
So of course he's going to need some rehab games if he's going to be able to try to come back to the Astros. But in
Well,
regards,
well, I say also too, the fact that he's delaying surgery, right, by trying to come back and play, he's also costing himself not being ready for opening day next year too. So
yeah,
it's just another thing to think about.
I mean the Astros will have some guys being able to step up in that replacement spot just in case he can't go for opening day. Of course, he got Urias, he still got Correa. That's if everything goes as well as planned, like no injury related for the end of this season. So it's a difficult call for the organization, for the player, but you see how this organization is running. They're like, okay, well, if you think you can give it a go, we're not gonna hunt you and we're not gonna put that choice down on you saying no, you're not gonna start, you're not gonna do this, you're not gonna do that. They're giving him that option, but Paredes too on his end, he has to be smart. If that hamstring starts to be getting a little bit irritated in some of them, at bats or some of them games, then just call it ends and just go get the surgery. Maybe he's scared of surgery. I don't know.
Maybe scared of needles. I don't know, but yeah. But moving on, just to not keeping you here too long. I know Astro World Craig trying to go to sleep. It says past his bedtime, so
And Angel
we're gonna
Cutts is
move.
going to sleep too,
Yeah, me
apparently.
too. Honestly, can't front on that. Uh, Marlins Astros. You saw game one. They come in with a 55-56 record. The Astros made the 8 minutes go under 500. Third in the NL East, 7-3 in the last 10 games. Won 6 straight series before Monday. Won 6 straight series. Sorry, but this is a hot team, and shout out to like Jason Alexander. Would have to give him a good shout out naming his stats there, because that was a great, great, great win. And there he goes, Astro Craig 99.
Like that little
See ya.
emoji that just does this. Or do that
Absolutely,
Officer Doofy thing.
absolutely. But enough of Monday. Since we covered that, we can go ahead and go Tuesday, 5:40 start time. TBA versus Cal Contra. Now this, according to the Astros beat writers, both Shannon Roman, Brad McTaggart. I don't know who posted it first, so I'm just gonna shout both of them out. The Astros will have an opener starting now. AJ Blueball is on the taxi squad, so you might see him make an appearance there. But this is interesting. I don't know when was the last time the Astros had an opener, especially, like you said, this was Ryan Gusto's spot. So they did not name who it was going to be. So just keep, we'll find out probably that, a few hours before game time, maybe 3 or 4 hours before game time in the morning or something like that. But once we find that out, we will let you know. A big one against Kyle Contrell, which is a guy the Astros have, inquired about in the past to maybe be pitching for the Houston Astros. Didn't work out, but he's 4-5 this season with a 4.79 ERA. Versus St. Louis, he pitched 5 innings, 3 hits, 0 earned runs, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts. Comes in with a 7 pitch mix. There's a cutter, fastball, split finger, sinker, curveball, slider, and changeup. So a lot of like sideways and downwards movement on his pitches. However, at home, he is 1-3 with a 4.22 ERA. So hasn't really fared well pitching in Miami.
Yeah, this is opportunity for the Astros and AJ Blueball too. If his name is called up, I mean, he said from that first and last start that he had in the beginning of the season, he's like, man, I want to come back. I want to be back with this team. It's not going to be the last of me. Well, young buck, this is your shot to give it a go again against a pretty good hot team in Miami, and they're young too. A lot of these cats have been from the farm. I'm pretty sure he's facing some of these guys, and this is a good opportunity for him to show Joe a spot of what he got. Because maybe when it comes to bringing up some players when the rosters expand in September, there's a guy maybe you can call out on to help out either in the rotation or the bullpen.
Yeah, absolutely. And then Wednesday, 3:40 start time. After getting out of work, tune into the radio. Put the game on your phone or wherever you're at, because Spencer Arrighetti is back for the Houston Astros. He'll be going against Jansen Junk, this is low key a pretty good pitching matchup, honestly.
Under the radar.
Yeah, if you love pitching, this is the game you want to watch. But Arrighetti hasn't pitched since April 5th. After that crazy wrist injury he suffered from, warming up, playing catch in the outfield. He got hit by a BP ball, broke his wrist.
Reminder, that was in Seattle too, at T-Mobile.
In Seattle. So I'm sure they were targeting him. I'm not going to start anything. Just kidding. But in his last recap start, he did throw 4 2/3 of an inning, allowing 6 hits, 6 runs, 5 earned, 4 walks, 5 strikeouts. If you're familiar with the full FSA show, and I never stress about that, right? And I always tell you not to stress about minor league rehab assignment outcomes, because that's not what the purpose is. Their purpose is to throw no hitter over there, but to get right and make sure you're feeling good, come out healthy, no pain, just work on your mechanics wise. He did throw 79 pitches, 50 strikes, but I'll be I know Miami Marlins is hot right now, but this is a good test for Spencer again. This is a good matchup to come back. You know, pitch against the Marlins, who haven't had as much success. I know they have had some lately, but in years past, this is a good matchup for him. And we're going against Jansen Junk, who's 5-2 with a 3.86 ERA versus the Yankees. He pitched 5 innings, 6 hits, 6 runs, 1 walk, 4 strikeouts. He, has a fastball, slider, sweeper, curveball, and changeup. And both of his losses have been at home too. So just like Kyle Contra doesn't fare really good pitching in Miami.
Yeah, Junk though, as of late, he's been pitching well for this Miami ball club. I know Spencer Arrighetti, that adrenaline's gonna be pumping, baby. I already know how he is, friend of the pod, and we've interviewed him. He's a very go-getter and very motivator, ready to go out there, do whatever it takes for this team. Very antsy when he gets on the mound. So I know he's going to be ready to go in and do whatever it takes to get this team a win. And if you're the Astros, you're looking at these matchups. Angel had said, with some of these pitchers at home, they just don't fare well at Lone Depot Park. And this is the opportunity for Houston to get 3 games back from that 3-game series in Boston. Try to make it a even road trip before they go to New York and take on the Yankees. So it's a great start for the Astros. For game 2, you're hoping you can find a way to get that win. You get that win, series win already. You just got to see if you could capitalize and finish it off on Wednesday, because to remind everybody, the Astros have fared well in Miami. They've done a really good job. They've won 5. Their record in their last 6 games has been 5-1 at that ballpark. If you count today, 6-1 in their last 7 games at Lone Depot Park. And with Jesus Sanchez, you saw how that went up. Got that, scored the Astros first run with that double. Correa being able to produce right there too. So if you're the Astros, you got to continue doing what it takes for this team, because you're gonna have a rookie pitcher pitch tomorrow more than likely, and then you'll have Spencer Gay, who hasn't faced a big league ball club since April 5th.
Yeah, and that Jesus Sanchez double was 112.2 off the bat.
Now,
And guess
we told
guess
you
who
bad speed.
had yeah, very he had the longest home run last year too. But guess who was right behind him with top exit velocity?
For that game or just
Yeah, for that game.
Cam Smith?
Christian Walker. Christian Walker actually took over. So the top 5 top exit velocities: Jesus Sanchez, Christian Walker, and then Christian Walker again. So Christian Walker, 111 miles per hour, 109.4 miles per hour. So again, he's hitting the ball good, just hitting into the little bad luck.
You think he's a Shooter McGavin fan? I don't know if you've seen the little home run celebration he has. Throws some guns to the bullpen, even to the dugout.
I'm sure it's a little, yeah, I'm
Or
sure.
maybe he's
Could
a
be.
sheriff guy. You know
Yeah,
how they do in the Wild Wild West. Pull out whoever gets the gun first. Pa.
yeah.
Maybe he likes
The
that.
little quick draw.
Yeah, real quick. Tony Ayo, Yankees lost a very winnable game. Did us 0 favors. Yeah, we had mentioned that earlier in the show. Jock Pearson tied the game, and Josh Young 3-run walk-off homer. So if the Yankees would have won that game, it would have been 5.5. But now, since the Rangers won, it's a 4.5 game back against the Astros. So like I said, this series against Miami is very important. This whole road trip, really, for the Astros, is
Yep.
very important. But
Yep.
for them to even up this road trip, they got to find a way to sweep the Marlins.
Absolutely. And I'm gonna go ahead and read these injury updates so you can get the hell out of here. Going with Spencer Getty, as you heard, he's scheduled to start on uh Wednesday
Wednesday.
against the Miami Marlins. Christian Javier threw 3 1/3 innings with Sugarland on Wednesday, July 30th. We'll continue to rehab at Sugarland this week. Lance McCullers, who's out with a finger blister, threw 4 innings at a simulated game at an offsite facility on Wednesday. That was also July 30th. Brandon Walter with left elbow inflammation. This is the guy that you're kind of like keeping your ears open, see what's going, what type of insight we get. He has begun a throwing program up to 90 feet, which is good, especially with that left elbow inflammation. We'll transition to Florida to continue rehab. Yordan Alvarez, right hand inflammation. Shout out to Florida on Sunday to continue his hitting progression. So there he's hitting. That's a good sign. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
out at this, Dana Brown did mention on the broadcast that he is going to West Palm Beach too to hit. So it looks like it's a little bit coming soon for Yordan. I'd project maybe in the 20s or 30s of August, late August. I think he returns.
Yeah, that sounds like a good timeline. And then lastly, Jake Myers, currently rehabbing in Houston, has progressed to flat ground running. Yeah, I knew once he couldn't go out there before first pitch, I knew that was gonna be a long recovery for Jake Myers. And slow and steady wins the race. I think at this point, and you're just hoping for Jake Myers to get 100% sooner rather than later.
Yeah, these injury updates with him specifically has a lot been saying currently rehabbing in Houston. So you're really hoping he can come back. It's almost looking like he might not come back this season, man. If the rehab has been this long, he hit the IL, if I'm not mistaken, before the All-Star break.
Sure.
If you're a Houston Astros fan, you're hoping this guy can get back on track, because that bat was very lethal at the bottom part of that lineup. And if you can get a healthy Jake with a Cam Smith or Jesus Sanchez in that bottom part of the order, man, that's going to be a very dangerous lineup. Not to mention, real quick, Andrew, you did miss Luis Garcia, 2 2/3 with Sugarland on Friday. We'll continue to rehab in Sugarland this week.
Yep.
That was a good pitching matchup, too, that he had gone against. Bryce Miller was the other guy that he was throwing against on the other game. So you got Mariners trying to get him back, too, which is that rotation's fucking deep, man. Seattle's not playing. I'm just saying that right now. They are not playing.
Absolutely not.
But yeah, then 5:40 start times at Miami. I don't understand that. That's even more crazy too. And we did get an
Yeah.
update on that time, 10:30 from Boston. That was the first time the Astros had played early since the year of 2000 or 2001.
Oh wow.
So
Okay.
that's per Lice. I saw that today, and I was like, wow. Angel was talking about when was the last time the Astros played at 10:35, and even farewell for the Astros fans. They probably
Yeah.
just put it on, saw that fourth inning, and they're like, you know what, we're turning it off. We're gonna go.
Astros fans had Astros fans had a ruined Sunday because of the
I
Astros.
think it was just a weekend in general for them. They had their hopes very high on Friday, and they saw the walk off, and they're like, okay, Saturday comes, yeah, just not a good weekend for the Astros. But hey, the series against the Marlins, series opener, got the dub. If you're a Nationals fan, you're hoping for a series win tomorrow on Tuesday, and maybe a possible sweep. So, but other than that, that is the end of our show. It's 9 hour 30. We love Steban. I'm pretty sure with all three of us, we probably be here for an hour 30, hour 35, hour 40. You never know. But tune in to the next episode, of course. If you haven't hit that subscribe button, make sure you do so. Then you won't miss the next live episode that we're doing on FSA Full Steam Ahead on Instagram, Full Steam Ahead on Twitter, as well as on TikTok. Like I mentioned, hit that notification bell too, not to mention with YouTube, then you don't miss the episodes and the interviews that we'll be posting when it comes to the Astros next time they come into Houston. And of course, if you don't want to see our beautiful faces, listen to us on the road on your way to school because school's getting here pretty soon. Angel, I know you're about to get ready for that. So we are on Spotify, we are on Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts. Like, rate, subscribe, leave some feedback. But Ketu, any final words before we go off?
No, just thank you for listening. Thank you for all the support and peace.
Yep, 11:35 Central Time in Houston, Texas. Till then, we'll give you that recap of the Marlins series. More than likely, probably record Thursday, if because it's an off day. The Astros travel that weekend to New York, so we'll keep you posted when we do our next episode. But till then, y'all stay safe. Give you the preview of that Yankee series, and talk to y'all soon.